Will say something. All right. Okay, we are here with another beautiful, wonderful lady, and she's this time coming from Ireland, Denise O'Connell. I again try to pronounce the last name, but Denise owns not only a shop, but also an online business, and everything pretty much is local. So it's MySkin.ie for Ireland, I guess, .ie, MySkin.ie. But Denise, why don't you introduce yourself with a proper name pronunciation, maybe?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Katrin. And Denise O'Connell is my name. You got it pretty good the first time. And I'm here in the southeast of Ireland in a beautiful medieval city called Kilkenny. And I have a gorgeous workshop in the shadow of our castle, which is a huge tourist attraction here in the city.
Oh, wow. So all the pictures I'm seeing, that's pretty much everything around your city, where the medieval city where you live. So for everyone that hasn't been following Denise, you got to go to her Facebook account and MySkin.ie, but also Denise O'Connell. That's where you see all the beautiful images of the surroundings of the city and also of your shop, because I see like the photographs are amazing you take of your products. Just a quick question. What kind of camera do you use?
I'm on my iPhone. Now, I did spend some money on getting professional photographs taken. So they're probably the good ones that you've spotted. I was able to get a grant locally towards my website, and part of that was for photography. So that would be a big tip for anyone. If you can get professional photographs taken, it's well worth the investment.
It is well worth the investment. And I studied photography, and that is one thing that I keep on hammering on people, is like, it's all about the image, especially if you have an online business. It's so important to have beautiful images. And
Absolutely.
again, I think people can just see them really on your website, myskin.ie. It's amazing, right? Myskin.ie, yes. So let's dive in. Tell me a little bit about where did it all started? How did you get from, I don't know when you even started with your business, we will discover in a moment, but how did you get from the beginning of your business to where you are now? How did it all develop?
Okay, well, when I was in secondary school, so about age 17, I wanted to be a professional soccer player. That was it. I didn't care about school. No way. I just wanted to play football. But the gods intervened, and in the last semester of school, I broke my ankle. So I had to study. I was curtailed, and my sports career was out the window before I even started. So I had surgery, which didn't go well. And the surgeon said, forget about that career, go do a secretarial course or something. So I was horrified. And, you know yourself as a teenager, all your dreams are smashed. So I had really bad pain in my ankle after the surgery. And we had a neighbor who was training to be a reflexologist. So she offered to work on my foot, and I didn't believe what she was doing. I thought it was a load of mumbo jumbo, but my mother persuaded me to go. And within 20 minutes, I started to feel a bit different. And the swelling started to go down. I still have some pain in it, but it had helped to really help, to get it down. So that kind of started me off. I was curious, but I really didn't know what to do. I contemplated nursing as a career, and I lasted a week in a nursing home. I was left with this man. He was in his late 90s. He was dying, actively dying. He was on his own, and he just wanted me to sit and hold his hand. And the nurse told me I didn't have time for that. And it was like a light bulb moment. I said, like, what's the point? I was young, but at the same time, I always cared. And I just said, there's no point if you can't really care for people. So I went off and I trained as a social care worker. So that involved working in residential care with mainly teenagers who were out of home, in trouble with the law. And I did that for about 2.5 years. But again, There was no social services available at the weekend. It was just 9 to 5, and nobody's life is 9 to 5. You know,
No.
we're all.
Oh, you're so right there. So right. Yes.
Yeah. So so then I was 20, 22, 23 at that stage. And I decided to take a break. I went and ran a youth hostel for a season, just to change the scenery. And I opened the newspaper one day, and there was an ad for a course in Dublin, a 2-year sports therapy program. So I just thought, oh wow, that's me. I could do that, because it kind of brought me back to my sport, even though I couldn't play, but I could do something on the sideline, and I understood how devastating an injury can be. So I went for the interview, I got the course, and I moved back in with my parents at 23, 24.
Oh, they must have been happy.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but got there. But so it was 2 years. It was full time, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. But I loved it. It was all iTech training, which is very recognized in Europe. And we did sports therapy, we did aromatherapy, stress management, gym instruction. And I loved it. So I had a friend working in recruitment, and he sent me 5 or 6 interviews, but I got one in Kilkenny, and it was a brand new hotel that was opening. And they had a leisure centre attached to it. So I made a deal with the manager at the interview that if he gave me the job, I would work in the gym for a year, but I wanted to set up my clinic doing my massage therapy and aromatherapy within 12 months. So he agreed. So
my God. So wait a second. So you basically, not even having the job, you suggested on the interview, is like, if you give me the job, I would like to do that.
Yeah.
That's incredibly, that's beautiful. I mean, that's not only bold, but it's also extremely creative. So what brought you to the point that you thought, it's like, I want to set up my clinic?
Because I knew he had 1,000 members ready to go in that center. So I had ready-made clients who were working out in the gym. They were stressed from their jobs. I was flexible with my hours. So very quickly, I had I was seeing 8 to 10 clients, say in the first week. And then it went to, maybe 20 in 1 month. And then all of a sudden it was like, I need to cut down my days in the gym and go more full time with this. So I was ready to go at the end of that year. And I had my little room. We were able to agree. And it just worked. It worked. So
how old were you there?
I was about 25 at that stage.
At that
25. Stage. And my plan then was where I live in Kilkenny, hurling is our national sport. Yeah. And Kilkenny is known for our team is really, really good. So my plan then was to become their sports therapist. So I got to know a lot of the girlfriends and the wives of the team, and it was going great. I was getting there. And then everything changed. In 2003, I had a friend that I used to work with in the gym, and he got sick really quickly. And to cut a very long story short, it turned out to be leukemia that he had. So he was sent to a hospital in Dublin, and it wasn't looking good from the very start. But his oncologist was Malaysian. And I used to go up to visit him every week, and he was terrified. He was only about 20, his whole life ahead of him. And he was afraid to fall asleep because his heart was racing so much. They had to intubate him a lot and put him out. And he didn't like that. So every time I worked on his feet, he fell asleep. So his doctor said to me, you can come in here anytime. Whatever you're doing, he trusts you. You're able to help him to relax. So every week I went up and I worked on his feet. Now, it was a very scary time. I felt really helpless. This is 2003. As therapists, we were told that massage therapy could possibly cause cancer to follow further into the body.
Oh, wow.
There was no scientific, studies done. So I was literally working from my gut and hoping that I wouldn't do anything dangerous. But it was powerful just to see how that process evolved every week. And while, the outcome wasn't good, like after 13 weeks, he did pass away. It had a powerful effect on me and the actual direction my work was going to take, which I never anticipated, because as far as I was concerned, I was going on the sports road.
Right.
But
Right.
after that experience, it just opened me up to a completely different level of work and area of, I suppose, lifelong learning. So I took every course that was going. There was nothing in Ireland. So, and this was kind of the early stages of the internet. There wasn't much out there.
Right.
So
It was in person mostly then too, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we were very lucky that Gail MacDonald came to Dublin in probably 2011, 2012. So I took her course. And where else did I go? I met Rhiannon in Limerick.
Oh, beautiful.
And I met loads of anyone that came, I took their course.
Yes.
So there was a local GP. Do you understand the term GP?
I just want to general
practitioner. So
general practitioner, yes.
It's your normal medical doctor.
Right.
But he was a local guy who also visited my friend in hospital. And he just said to me, if you ever want to do something with this reflexology and massage, I'd be willing to back you. I think there's something really important in it. So once I'd taken a couple of courses, I got brave and I wrote 50 letters off to every medical doctor in the area. And I got 2 responses. One from the director of cancer services in the local area and one from a cancer charity. And they both invited me in for interviews.
That is incredible. So Denise, what was the letter about? What did you suggest in the letter?
It was a bit cheeky. I just explained I'd taken all this training and how I felt it would be of benefit to patients living locally that were going through cancer.
That's incredible.
So if they were willing to either, refer me to these patients, or if we could open up some kind of level of communication. And that's what happened. Those 2 people invited me in. The doctor in the hospital wanted to make sure I wasn't offering to cure cancer. That was his big concern.
Right, of course.
So absolutely, we weren't going that. This was just purely relaxation and to offer comfort orientated treatments. And then the lady in the cancer charity, she took me on straight away. So so it literally, 2 weeks later, I started with her and she referred patients to me in the clinic. And within probably 2 to 3 months, 80% of my clients were people living with cancer.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was a complete turnaround.
That is like from being a professional soccer player to cancer patient care. And it's just a question which comes up. So when you got hired now, who or is the health insurance covering that in Ireland actually?
What happened was, I had to get extra insurance myself because I was going to hospitals and also going into people's houses.
Okay.
And then the charity covered my wages. So the patients didn't have to pay for it at all.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, what was the question you just
that
asked
was
me?
The question is like, how did you get paid basically? Is that covered by the insurance? But you just mentioned, so by charity, and is that part of the cancer patient care, or that's just so interesting.
Locally within areas, people fundraise for all these for all these cancer related charities. And then part of the funding is used for complementary therapies. So
that's incredible.
So then in 2011, I realized that we needed to have our own charity in our local area. Now, at this time, this was an economic downturn. And I worked out that we needed to raise €165,000 to open the doors. We were given a premises rent-free for 5 years. It was a group of people who got involved.
Yes.
And we were really enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I, organized meetings locally to try and get people involved. And I came away from the first meeting very heavy-hearted. Nobody had money. It was a really bad time in the world economy as well as locally. But I went into work the next morning and there was a letter on the floor from a local solicitor. And I just thought, what am I after doing? I thought I was in trouble. And it was a check for €2,000 from the estate of a client of mine who had passed away, trusting I would know what to do with that money for cancer patients.
Oh my goodness. I have chills. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
So it was incredible. So so that afternoon we opened our bank account, and then it was like the floodgates opened. People just came on board, and we raised that money within 3 months, I think.
$165,000
euros. Yeah.
Euros.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, for all our American listeners, that is more or less right now $165,000, but depending on the exchange rate. But that's an incredible amount of money to raise in 3 months.
Absolutely. And you see, I suppose for everybody, cancer isn't too far from anybody's door. So everybody has a story. They will know somebody personally who has been through a cancer journey. So everybody got it. So I stayed working, in behind the scenes, trying to get that going. And we got therapists on board. We got a manager for the center. And then it was time to step back because I still wanted to do my own cancer, clients and that. So I kept going with that till about 2015 and loved the cancer end of it. But then I started to realize the effect that cancer treatment was having on people's skin. And clients started asking, could you make me up something for like my scar or itch or...
right, because of the medicine and everything around the cancer care in that moment, what they have to intake. Oh, I see. Okay.
At that stage, so in 2015, I went to Holland and I took Madeline Kirkcott's course, which was
beautiful.
Another incredible week. And it's the one course, if anybody is interested in working in the cancer field, you definitely have to get on Madeline's course. She's phenomenal.
Wow. Okay. I will link to her as well in the show notes.
She's a fantastic person. She's so straight talking. She is a powerhouse of knowledge, and she cares so much about trying to integrate the medical model with the complementary. So because she's coming from a nursing point of view. So she's been a fantastic mentor to me. I can pick up the phone if I needed her at any stage or drop her an email, and she's always there. So that was a real turning point again for me with the work. So I stayed going, working with my clients and making up products for another couple of years. And then I started to test the market with the products. I kind of felt it could go further. And I went out, did local farmers markets here in Kilkenny, and I got a great response. And then I was making more and more, and I was at home. And one evening it just came to a head. My husband went to make a sandwich and he took a jar of the cream. He thought it was mayonnaise, and it was a cream. So that was like, I kind of knew then I need to get out of the house.
So he put cream onto his sandwich?
Almost, yeah. I saved him from himself, but yeah. So
I don't think I would have stopped my husband just for the picture of that moment. It's beautiful.
So I had a client at the time who was a very successful businessman, and he was going through radiotherapy when I met him. And he had 22 cycles completed, but he needed to do 44. but his skin was starting to break. So once the skin breaks, the radiotherapy has to stop. So I made him up a gel, which worked, and he was able to continue his treatment. But he was really business minded, and he said, there's something in this. You need to look at it further. So he really encouraged me, and I applied for this business program that came up in 2021. It's like this national program where you're funded for 6 months. You have to come out of your existing job, but you're funded. You have a full salary.
Oh,
you get fantastic business mentorship, and they're looking at your potential to grow. And if you could provide a service or a product that is suitable for export. So I did that program for 6 months, and it was at the start of COVID. So it actually came at a good time for me. I was also going through menopause and getting really bad joint pain. So I was at a turning point with my hands-on career as well, because it was getting very, very difficult to try and keep going. So I took the program, very intensive, and it was like Dragon's Den. Every couple of weeks we would meet with mentors, and challenge would be a tame word for what we had to put ourselves through.
So you went to meet with the mentors every 2 weeks in person, and then you had to do your work in between.
Yes.
For 6 months.
For 6 months, you had to do a full business plan, projections for 5 years, and where you saw your business coming. It was, when I look back now, I don't know how I did it, because COVID had just kicked off. The kids were being homeschooled, because all the schools were closed, looking for food and trying to do this program online as well. It was crazy. But what I got, it was very interesting. I'm glad I did it, but I think it probably put everything in perspective for me, that I love meeting people. I love the fact that they can come into my workshop here. But if I had taken that business decision, I would have had to stop making my products. I would have had to outsource production. And it would have, I think it would have taken the heart out of what I do. And
so basically the product or the business program was looking for you to produce something that you can export, meaning you need to go big scale.
Absolutely. And I think the potential was definitely there for it, but I don't think it sat well with me. I loved one-to-one interaction with the client and seeing how they could progress. So it was a big decision, but I'm very heartfelt in everything I do. Yes. So it was the right move for me to move away from that. But then I wasn't sure what I was going to do. At this stage, I had 23 years experience of hands-on therapy work, but the joint pain was getting quite severe. So I knew I couldn't sustain it. So during the first lockdown, I was out for a walk, and literally across from where we're talking now, I was with the dog, and this is going to sound a bit crazy, but it was like a voice in my head and just said, just stop and look. And the unit that I'm actually in now was locked up. It hadn't been in use in about 3 years. And I just looked and thought, I wonder, is there anything in this? So I called a friend of mine who he works as a potter here as well. And I said, is there any chance of these units becoming available? And he goes, no, I don't think so. But I persisted, and I rang the manager, and I kept going. And 2 weeks later, he rang me back, and he said, actually, the lady that has the unit you're looking for is about to retire, and you're the first in if you want it. Oh, so again, I just decided, I just went for it. And COVID had been a good break in terms of client-based work. A lot of people weren't ready to come back to in-person treatments anyway. So it was a good time to say goodbye. And a lot of people thought I'd be devastated after the 23 years. But I think I was ready to let it go at that stage. I had done my time, if that makes sense. And so now I have my gorgeous little workshop.
Are you in it right now?
right now. Yeah.
Oh, can you in a moment maybe just show your phone, or even now? Yeah, show your phone once
Okay,
around.
so let's see. I'll turn the phone. I'm not very good at this. Let me see. Okay, here we go. It's a bit
Oh,
dirty now
wow,
because I've everything
beautiful.
moved out of the way. So this is my little. I have a workshop and then a little retail space. So I
Oh,
just have the curtains closed.
that's
It's very
okay.
small, but we're all doing our little
Oh,
thing. So there's just people coming around here now, but you can't actually see these buildings. The castle is out beyond. This building you're looking at now is a little grain store that would have
yes.
been used. The actual building I'm in would have been stables for the horses.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah,
how old is it? From what
it's
time?
it's here since the 1700s, I think. It's very old.
That's beautiful. Wow. So in this space, you basically have your workshop, you have your little
Yes,
retail area, and
yes,
then
exactly.
do,
Yeah.
do you actually
Now,
hold workshops as well there?
I will be holding workshops. Now, the space here is tiny. It's only like 20 feet by 12 feet.
But so
So it's,
enough for what we do actually,
yeah,
because our bottles aren't huge and our supplies aren't. I mean, if you would have gone into the overseas market and export, you probably would have needed much more space.
absolutely. But,
Yeah,
here, lovely. And we would get a lot of tourists from all over the world, and they love to see you making. And
absolutely.
once they come into the yard, they can smell the workshop. So they follow their noses. So it's
Oh
great.
my goodness. So
Yeah.
you have been pivoting multiple times
Mm-hmm.
throughout business, throughout your life now.
Yes.
And every time it seems like almost something happened and something new came to you
Mm-hmm.
in
Absolutely.
unexpected ways.
Yes. Yeah.
But you
And
were
I went with,
open. Yes.
yes,
You were open to receive it and go for it. You didn't
absolutely.
close up. And I think your entire personality speaks just, of course, let's try it. Let's go for it. And also what you just said ranks very true to me is you want people around you. You want to feel them still. You want to see them. You want to have them in your shop. And
Yes,
being by yourself, producing at home and not being in contact with people would have not just been the right choice for you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for, say, younger therapists or, anyone starting out, it's really important to find out what makes you tick.
Yes.
Is that, like, for me, it was the contact with
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
So is that where you're drawn, or is it to, for some people, it could be the essential oil research.
Right.
There's all different avenues. But it's to
There,
find what makes you tick.
exactly. What makes you tick? What makes you happy? And what actually is possible within your area of expertise to bring
Yes,
out and create a business with. So you don't always feel like, oh, I don't know enough. You always want to be in the position that you feel safe and with your expert level, knowing enough so you can sell. So just tell me, the store or the workshop right now is open Monday through Saturday or Tuesday. What are your
yeah,
opening hours?
Tuesday, Saturday. Yeah. And then
Tuesday.
I will be expanding into doing some workshops, but they're probably going to be more in the winter time, because the tourist market starts in Ireland after St. Patrick's Day,
Oh,
the
yes,
7th of
soon.
March. So we will be very busy from March through to about the end of October.
Right.
And then
Okay.
it's the
So
local market then for Christmas. So it's pretty busy, say 9 months of the year.
9 months of the year. So actually, you deserve some downtime as you have right now
Well,
to also think about new products and new creation.
absolutely. And planning. This is the
And
time to plan. And
yeah,
this is where your fantastic product comes in for me, because for the next couple of weeks, I need to look at my pricing. And because, as we all know, the cost of raw materials has gone through the roof.
yep.
So I need to readjust my pricing, and I need to look at trying to buy in bulk a little bit more. And be a little bit more strategic with that. So that is where your blend precisely comes
Precisely
into.
comes in.
Oh,
So I'm
fantastic.
so happy. So you basically do all your costing with Blend Precisely and also
Yes,
seeing if it will work with any new products you're about to create.
absolutely. Before I
Really?
ever blend it. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a fantastic money saver from that point of view. Before I ever make a product, I'll actually price it up just to see if it's sustainable yet, because
I
some
love
people.
that. You're my dream customer, because that is what I'm trying to hope before you go out and purchase all of the raw materials. You want to just double check quickly, because you have the prices on hand already.
Yeah.
You know how many batches you can make.
Mhm.
And so you can see if it's a sustainable option to bring this
Yeah,
new product onto the market. And if not, you might want to just switch out any kind of raw materials.
exactly. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. It's
Oh,
delightful
no. Oh, there
for me.
will be so much more coming, and I'm so excited about it too, including an inventory system and everything else. So we are really working hard on making it better every single step, including therapeutic properties coming in and so on. So I'm really excited to see that the program is getting more options as well. But so I think let me look at my notes, because this was just so beautiful, everything. So I know that we talked about like objections in your family. Have you ever had from people or families say, "Oh my God, you shouldn't do that"? Or were there any like, well, hard knocks in so far? The very first time when you wanted to become a soccer player and that didn't work out was probably one of the most difficult times for you, it sounded
Yeah.
like.
But then we had a major one in our family in 2016. My younger brother, who has done exceptionally well in his work, he's very creative, and he has his own animation studio.
Oh,
But he
wow.
had just sold his company, and 10 days later he was lying in a hospital in Dublin on life support. He contracted pneumonia and swine flu. He traveled so much with his work, and nobody knows where he actually got it, but we were told 3 times in the space of 19 days he wasn't going to pull through.
Oh my
And
God.
so anything like that, it's such a traumatic event. It just puts life in perspective, and you really like he'd all this money sitting in the bank, and huge chance he'd never get to spend it, but he pulled through. There's something in our DNA. We are very stubborn. It's probably the Irish Celtic gene. I don't know.
So
But
he is,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
beautiful. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. That was 2016.
That was 2016. It
Mm.
was the roughest month we ever put in as a family, but we all got together. Everybody was praying for him and, meditating and everything. So, yeah, and he's made a very good recovery. But the huge lesson out of that was, life, it's so precious. Nobody knows what's around the corner. And you really have to live for the day, because we just don't know what's out there. So it's probably been a huge life lesson for me as well, in that trying to get the balance. We have 2 gorgeous kids at home.
How old are they?
Saoirse is 16 with 2 girls, and Nessa is 13.
Oh,
So
just almost like,
and my husband is self-employed as well. So we're just trying to keep it all, trying to get a bit of balance into it.
But you
But
seem to be a very innovative and creative family. And especially what I hear is like that everything is local. That makes it so, I always said, I almost think creating something locally is more heartwarming and easier to pull off in terms of business than going this big, wild, wide world example, because we forget how many people are around us that actually need our help.
absolutely. And I suppose from the tourist point of view, they are, if they're coming on a holiday, they want something small. So a lot
Yes.
of us are making products in little jars and little tins. They're perfect little gifts, and they're thoughtful little gifts. So
So
that's
what are your
another.
best sellers?
My lavender hand cream and my floral facial soap are
Oh,
probably,
beautiful.
and lip balm. Lip balm's
And the lip
always,
balms.
because it's important to have different price points. Little kids want to come in, and €5 for a lip balm is okay, whereas 60 or 70 € isn't in their thing. So yeah, it's nice to have different price points for people. Some, and I suppose if, say, a family or work colleagues wanted to buy a gift for a cancer patient, they'll come together. So they might be, you know, looking to buy something a little bit more substantial price point wise. So it's important to try and cover all the bases on that, I think.
And is that still part of your marketing as well, that you do actually do the special creams and products for cancer patients?
Yeah, so I have one range which is cancer comfort products, but they're also suitable for anybody that has sensitive skin. Like most of them wouldn't have essential oils in them. It'll be more on the carrier oils and the
which
moisturizer.
are so powerful.
Absolutely. And I think we forget that as aromatherapists.
Yeah,
we're so focused on the essential oils. And I must say, Susan Parker's book, The Power of the Seed, is a phenomenal book for anyone.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful book, and her courses are fantastic as well.
I'm gonna put that also one more time. I need to mention that as well, because I would agree with that. I studied natural skincare formulation, and I just finished last year as well. But it was so important to see the nutritions any kind of butter or carrier or lipid oils can bring by themselves without the essential oils.
And something I've noticed is the amount of people coming through who seem to have allergies and sensitivities, and they really want really natural ingredients.
Scent-free.
Yes, very much. Scent-free is huge. I think that's going to be massive in years to come. Well, yeah.
But I agree. So you seem to also pick up on what is needed for your clients. Do you just do this through talking a lot, or do the people just come to you and say, I have this and this, can you make something? How do you find out what is the right product to put out next?
Probably from markets. Before I got the workshop, and I suppose it's sort of it's talking and listening. It's really important. Like a lot of people who come through have tried lots of different medical routes and they haven't worked. And they genuinely want to try natural products. So it's nice to be able to help them out at the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely. So would you say right now you can make a living of everything you do from your workshop? Is that something, or are you still working on it, because it's pretty much a new route you went now again?
I'm 2 years in September, so I'll be 50% of the way, I hope, by then. But I've given myself 3 years to try and make it proper.
That's a good number. Yeah,
it's very hard to hit the ground running, and to have a proper wage in the first year. And people are very hard on themselves expecting that, I think. But we're all coming at different stages of life as well. So I'm more about balance, work-life balance at this stage. I put in many long hours in the early years, and the body isn't able for that anymore either. No. So it's important. Everyone, we have to listen.
Yeah, it's really beautiful that you say that, because I think that most people, we can run hard for a while, but then we start losing ourselves, or we get more illnesses. And I had a huge back surgery a few years back, which put everything what you just mentioned into perspective. What is important? Mm-hmm. And I think the more we can stay healthy and enjoy what we are doing, the more we can help others as well. But so important. But I also think, 3 to 5 years is normally a good number to think about having enough income come in so you can actually make a living, because it's hard to make anything work overnight or within a year. It's actually, I don't think it's really possible unless you have a lot of money sitting on the side and investors and pouring in, and I don't know what else. But you would say, like, right now your client acquisition comes through markets, word of mouth, and visitors?
And I would have found, say, Christmas time, Christmas 2022, the amount of visitors to the shop who had gotten my products as presents the year before, and they were coming in then. So
returning customers.
Returning customers, awesome. And I must say, over the years, it has been word of mouth for me. I think people know if you're genuine and you do care, and it always comes across. And it's all about building that relationship, and you can't rush it.
No,
It does take time. It
it
does
does
take time.
take time. And that's, I think that's really good to hear for others as well, because I think when you start out, you have to find yourself in the business as well. It's like, where do you want to be in the business? And then you feel over time, the more customers you have, the more talks you have to customers, the direction you want to head. But I think the most important, and I don't know if you would agree, but the most important part is get started and get out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you have to literally put one foot in front of the other and go for it. Like, the worst anyone can say to you is no. But like, everybody has to give it a go. I must say, I found hairdressers are fantastic for passing on your number. Florists as well. That's something people often don't think about.
Yeah.
Who else has been good? Hairdressers have been the big one for me. They've been
So you
fantastic.
basically go and talk to them, and they know what you're doing, or do you leave your business cards or flyers?
Leave a business card and a couple of samples. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's it's worked. Yeah. And I when I send out an order, I always send a little sample of something else with the order. And 9 times out of 10, it'll either be used or passed on to somebody else, and they will often order it then.
Yeah, that's
So,
perfect. And do you get orders online then as well? Would you say,
yes.
like, percentage wise, do you have more
Yeah.
store visitors in person or orders online?
My online is about 10%. I need to work on that for this year. I'm investing in my SEO this year. I know nothing about technology, so I'm outsourcing that. So yeah, it's about 90% in store and 10% online at the moment.
Yeah, well, that makes sense as well, because you're such a local business, and I would actually expect that that was the case for me in Lisbon as well. It was really nice, people were coming to the store, but then at the same time, I was growing my online orders to the point that I had mostly US customers and Australian customers, and then the pandemic hit, and everything got stuck in Porto at the airport for forever. I don't even know where those packages are all. And that's when I had to pivot as well. So I think we need to expect that what you start today will maybe not necessarily exist in the same form tomorrow, meaning a year, 2 years from now. We really need to stay agile in our business to adjust to whatever is needed. I mean, who could have foreseen the pandemic, right? That's like...
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing that I find good, I will always do some type of a review every 3 months. I take a half day and I close the door, and I go back down through the figures and see what's going well, what's not going well, and try and plan then for the next quarter as well.
Yeah. Okay. So you are planning.
It's something I don't like to have to do, but yeah, it's factored in now. It has to be done.
Very good. Yes. No, I think knowing our numbers and looking at them periodically, if not monthly or at least quarterly, is so important, because otherwise we don't know where we're heading. And we can see, it's like, okay, we had this amount of sales around Christmas. What actually went really well, and how can I increase it next year for the same time period, and so on. Oh, I'm so amazed by your journey. I didn't expect any of this. I mean, I read obviously some things on your website, but hearing it in person, and the beautiful story of really you changing permanently, but always giving to the others so much of yourself. You must have just the biggest heart on earth. It's just incredible. It's so
Thank
beautiful.
you.
So what does your husband do?
This is the funny part. He works in pest control. Yeah, we're very yin and yang.
Is there anything you can recommend based with essential oils and everything else for pest control?
We've tried a few of them. He's more into he tries to be as natural and humane as he can in his work. He loves plants. So he would be into herbs and that outside as much as he can. But no, he does his business and I do my
You
business.
do
So
yours. Oh, that's,
have
and
to
then you meet
be-
at night for a cup of tea or coffee, right? Or a glass of wine.
yes, absolutely.
And talk about the chemical compositions of both and
Yes.
how they work. I love this. Oh my goodness. Well, we are coming up on 45 minutes right now, and I don't want to take so much of your time more, but is there anything, like, if you could say something to anybody right now starting out a business, or maybe they have been struggling for 1 or 2 years already, what kind of tips would you give them, how to start out or how to continue, or what helped you the most through the difficult times when you weren't sure if that's going to go anywhere?
That's a great question. I think pause is really important. Just stop and look at what's working and look at what's not working. You can't serve everybody. And as soon as you realize that, I think the road gets clearer. So whether that be as a therapist, try and decide, maybe there might be 1 or 2 areas that you feel really comfortable working in. It might be with pain, might be with people with intellectual disabilities or cancer. You'll find some little niche, and the quicker you can find it, the better it will be. The other thing I'd say is, don't take every single class that's going immediately. You need to stop. Again, it's stopping and seeing where you're going to be drawn. And I think it's really good to train with lots of different people. There's different approaches from different schools. Everybody's trying to sell to you, so you need to find out what's right for you at a given time. And from my own journey, I've ended up not where I expected at all, but I mean, I followed my gut. That's the way I work. But it's to find what works right for you, I think, and don't give up. I mean, it's a gorgeous business to be in, but you have to be realistic too about where it's going to take you. And I suppose it depends on where you are in your life journey as to how that's going to work out. But do stick at it if you can. Yeah, I mean, I've no regrets, absolutely no regrets.
Oh, I love that you said actually pause. I think that is so important. And also mentioning, you find yourself in this shiny object syndrome. It's like, oh, this course sounds nice, and this one, and this one, and this one, and you're stuck in this permanent learning cycle without actually getting to the business. And I think it's beautiful to learn and take more classes, but maybe what you said, pause and see what direction you want to go, and then take the classes that bring you to the end and final goal. I think that's really a beautiful, we don't pause anymore enough, I think. Very, very beautiful. Well, thank you. So where can people find you?
Okay, well, on the website, it's MySkin.ie. And if anyone's coming to Ireland, please come to Kilkenny. We're just across the road from the castle, so you'll smell me before you'll see me. That's what I tell everybody. Yeah, so if any family coming to Ireland, would love to see them.
Oh,
So
I have to come. My cousin comes all the time. She's an astrologist and yoga teacher, and she's all the time in Ireland because all of her classes are happening over there. So I need to send her over to you.
Please do. I'd love to see her.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Denise. I will chat with you for sure. We will see each other for sure as well, just given with Blend Precisely. But thank you so, so much for your time and also for your warm heart. It was so delightful to meet you and see your workshop. Really nice.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you for the time and for all that you do. Absolutely incredible as well. So keep up all the good work.
Will do. It's beautiful. I just love working with the people. It's such a beautiful field. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Have a great weekend. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.